The sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon when I heard the familiar crunch of tires rolling over my private gravel driveway. My stomach tightened instantly. No one ventured out here unless they were lost, clueless, or itching for trouble. I grabbed my coffee, leaned against the porch railing, and watched as a pristine white SUV pulled up like it belonged. The doors flew open, and out stepped the epitome of suburban terror, a middle-aged woman with a scowl that could slice through steel, an aura of entitlement thick enough to choke on, and a name tag proclaiming Linda, HOA president. I took a steadying breath. I'd moved to this remote land for solitude, to escape the absurdity of HOA tyranny, yet here it was, tracking me down like a bloodhound. Linda stormed up my porch steps, letting out a theatrical sigh as if my very existence offended her. "We need to talk," she declared, planting her perfectly manicured hands on her hips like she was scolding a kid for blasting music too loud. I sipped my coffee. "I doubt that." "Oh, I think we do," she shot back, surveying my property like a monarch claiming new territory. "Your land technically falls under the Oak Ridge HOA's jurisdiction, and we've been very patient waiting for you to register." I nearly choked on my drink. "No, it doesn't." She let out a patronizing chuckle, the kind that made me itch to grab a shovel. "Well, according to our records." "Your records are wrong, Linda," I interrupted, my eye twitching. "It's a simple matter of compliance. There are rules, and everyone has to follow them." I glanced out at my 50 acres of untouched forest, my self-sufficient homestead, and the 10-foot electric fence keeping my nearest neighbors me wolves safe. Rules? Out here, the only rules were mine. She followed my gaze and frowned. "Yes, about that. You can't have a fence that high. And those dogs? They'll have to go. Dangerous animals aren't permitted under HOA regulations." I took a deliberate step forward, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. "They're not dogs," I said evenly. "They're wolves." Linda scoffed, as if I'd claimed to own a unicorn. "Don't be absurd. Wolves are illegal." "Not out here," I replied with a faint smile. Her face flushed red, unaccustomed to defiance. "This is unacceptable. If you don't comply, we'll take legal action." I leaned in closer, dropping my voice just enough to make her flinch. "Linda, you and your HOA don't have a shred of legal claim to this land. So I suggest you take your clipboard, climb back into your SUV, and drive back to whatever suburban hellhole you came from." For a moment, I thought she'd combust. Instead, she plastered on a syrupy smile. "Well, if you won't follow the rules willingly, I'll just handle this another way." That should have tipped me off, but I underestimated her lunacy. A week later, I woke to pandemonium. Stepping outside, I was greeted by a scene straight out of a catastrophe flick. Tents sprawled across my fields, people stomping around like they owned the place, portable grills firing up, and kids running wild, toppling my solar panels. A group of adults set up a beer pong table next to my rainwater barrels, while Linda presided over it all from a camping chair, sipping wine like a festival overlord. I rubbed my temples, trying to make sense of the madness. What the hell? Linda beamed at me like I was her oldest pal. "Good morning. Since you won't join the HOA, I figured we'd bring the community to you." My brain stalled. "You brought 100 people onto my land?" She gestured grandly, as if she'd crafted paradise. "Yes. We're turning this into a community campground. Isn't it great?" I took a slow breath, fighting the urge to yell. "You're trespassing." "Oh, no, no, no," she giggled, waving a stack of papers. "Squatters' rights. If we stay long enough, we can claim it as community land." I clenched my fists. "That's not how it works." "Oh, but it is," she chirped. "My cousin's a lawyer, and he says." "Is he actually a lawyer?" I cut in, "or just some guy who skimmed a property law blog?" Her lips pursed. "That's irrelevant." A scream pierced the air. One of the campers had strayed too close to the tree line where my wolves lurked. A deep growl rumbled through the clearing, and the nearest intruders stumbled back. Linda's eyes widened. "You need to get rid of those things." I crossed my arms. "They live here." "You don't." For the first time, she faltered, but then she straightened, flicking her hair defiantly. "We'll see about that." The chaos only escalated. Campers staked tents with reckless abandon, treating my land like a free-for-all park. Laughter, shouting, and utter disregard for boundaries filled the air. It was so surreal I half thought I was dreaming it. No, this was real, and Linda reveled in it, wineglass in hand, like a dictator overseeing her domain. I inhaled deeply, my patience fraying. One guy hauled a massive speaker from his truck, blasting pop tunes across the property. Another group set up a barbecue near my shed. Kids smeared sticky hands over my solar panels, and someone strung fairy lights between my trees like they were prepping for a wedding. Linda, I said, forcing calm into my tone, you and these people need to leave. Now. She turned with that maddening smugness. Oh, come on, don't be so grumpy. This is good for the community, fresh air, nature, bonding. You should feel honored. I gritted my teeth. I didn't invite anyone. You're trespassing. She waved a hand. It's not trespassing. It's community-driven property utilization. That's not a thing, I said flatly. It should be, she huffed, crossing her arms. We're here now, and we're staying. No law stops people from camping in nature. This is private property, I countered. She smirked. For now. My jaw tightened. What's that supposed to mean? Just a little legal trick my cousin Bob found, she said breezily. If we stay long enough, we claim squatters' rights. Then it becomes a recognized community space under HOA control, and you'll have to follow the rules. My eye twitched. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. She gasped theatrically. You're just mad I'm smarter than you. Before I could retort, a scream rang out. A man near the tree line froze, staring at something in the shadows. A primal growl echoed through the air. My wolves. One of them, a huge black male named Titan, stepped into VYEW, his yellow eyes fixed on the intruder. The man stumbled back, nearly tripping. Dude, there's a freaking wolf. Panic rippled through the campers. Linda barely blinked. Stop being dramatic. It's just a big dog. It's not a dog, I said. It's a wolf. And he doesn't like yin and VY Ted guests. The man bolted back to camp, cursing. A few smarter campers followed, distancing themselves from the trees. Linda rolled her eyes. This is why you shouldn't have wild animals. They're dangerous. They won't attack unless provoked, I said. But they don't tolerate strangers in their territory. She scoffed. You act like they own the land. They do, I replied, more than you ever will. The next few hours were a haze of frustration. The campers refused to budge, treating my land like a resort. I called the police, but Linda had anticipated that. When they arrived, she spun a tale of misunderstanding. The officers, visibly annoyed, confirmed she was in the wrong but said a legal tie-in order would take time I didn't have. As night fell, the nightmare worsened. A bonfire roared to life near my worst shed, unapproved. Drunken laughter pierced the air. Someone set off fireworks, sending my wolves into a frenzy. Music thumped so loud I felt it in my bones. I stood at the edge of the chaos, fist-balled, watching my sanctuary get overrun. Linda soaked it all in, playing the gracious host. Then the power flickered and died. The floodlights lining my property shut off, plunging everything into darkness. The campers froze, confusion spreading. The music cut out. The bonfire cast eerie shadows. A long, low howl broke the silence, followed by another, then a third. Linda's face paled. What was that? I smirked. You're about to find out. A guttural growl rumbled through the night, closer now. The campers huddled together, spooked. Rustling leaves and snapping twigs signaled movement just beyond the firelight. Glowing eyes appeared in the dark, first one pair, then another. Panic erupted. People scrambled for their tents, tripping over each other. A guy in a neon tank top laughed nervously. Dude, are those coyotes? Nope, I said. Coyotes aren't this quiet. Linda looked uncertain. You need to do something about them. I crossed my arms. I did. I trained them to protect my land. This is insane, she shrieked. They'll kill us. I sighed. If only someone hadn't set up an illegal campground in their territory. The first wolf stepped into the firelight, a massive gray beast with golden eyes. Another followed, smaller but just as fierce. The pack circled in the shadows, growls vibrating like thunder. Linda clutched her wine glass, her bravado cracking. This is illegal. You can't sick wild animals on people. I'm not, I said calmly. They live here. You're trespassing. A man in a Hawaiian shirt stumbled back. Dude, are they gonna attack? Depends, I said. You live? Linda wasn't ready to surrender. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling animal control. I almost laughed. Good luck. They don't remove legal animals from private property. They're predators, she screeched. What psycho keeps wolves as pets? They're not pets, I corrected. They're family. The Hawaiian shirt guy grabbed his cooler and bolted. Others crept toward their cars, the reality sinking in. They'd come for a party, but this wasn't their playground. Linda made it worse. This is harassment, she yelled, while VYing her phone. I'll have the police here so fast. A deep growl cut her off. Titan, the pack leader, stepped forward, ears flat, eyes gleaming. Linda flinched. This is intimidation, she stammered, backing up. It's reality, I said. The fire popped, and a camper shrieked. That broke the dam. A stampede ensued. People grabbed tents, chairs, anything, and ran. The Hawaiian shirt guy ditched his side entirely, sprinting to his truck. Within minutes, half the crowd was gone, engines roaring as they fled. Linda stood her ground, chest heaving, face crimson. This isn't over, she hissed. I won't be bullied off this land. Titan took one step forward. She squeaked, turned, and marched to her SUV, slamming the door before peeling out. As the dust settled, I exhaled. Titan pressed his head against my side, a quiet reassurance. Well, I muttered, eyeing the wreckage. That was fun. The wolves melted back into the trees, their work done. I surveyed the trash land, beer bottles, wrappers, broken gear everywhere. Linda wouldn't let this go. I started reinforcing my fences and security the next day, making calls. She'd underestimated me once. She wouldn't win twice. The next morning was silent, like the aftermath of a storm. The campers were gone, Leah VYing chaos in their wake cans, wrappers, even a mangled lawn chair in my garden. Linda wasn't done, though. By noon, I saw her handiwork on a local community page. Urgent warning. A local property harbors dangerous animals, threatening our safety. These beasts aren't pets and endanger our kids. We must act before tragedy strikes. She'd gone full martyr, and the comments were a mess. Calls to remove my wolves, demands for wildlife control, HOA jurisdiction debates. She wasn't stopping at slander. Then a white truck rolled up. Animal Control served YCES. 2 officers stepped out, one with a clipboard, the other scanning my land like a detective. I met them on the porch, arms crossed. The lead officer cleared his throat. Sir, we've had complaints about dangerous animals here. I nodded. You mean my wolves? The younger officer hesitated. Yes, sir. Reports say they're aggressive and threatening people. I laughed. Threatening? They didn't invade private property and trash it. The lead officer shifted. If they're a public safety risk, we need to investigate. I whistled. Titan appeared, calm, watching. The younger officer stepped back, but the lead held firm. Are they contained? They don't need to be, I said. They stay on my land. Documentation? He asked. Registered, microchipped, legal, I replied. Check your database. The younger officer tapped his tablet. He's right. The lead sighed. We can't remove them without EVY Denke. A screech cut in. What do you mean you can't take them? Linda stormed up, furious. They attacked my friends. They nearly killed me. I raised an eyebrow. Funny, no one's hurt. She whirled on the officers. He's lying. Do something. The lead officer looked done. Ma'am, he has permits. No proof of an attack, no action. Her face twisted. What about zoning laws? Exotic animals aren't allowed in residential areas. This isn't residential, the officer said. It's private property. I grinned. Told you. Linda sputtered, then I cut in. If you step on my land again, I'll file trespassing charges. And I've got a lawyer tallying the damage from your campers. Get ready for that bill. The officers smirked as Linda paled. You can't, she stammered. I can, I said, walking back inside. She stormed off, phone to her ear. This wasn't over. Days later, the quiet felt ominous. Linda wouldn't quit. Then a construction crew arrived, bulldozers, survey gear, the works. I approached the lead worker. You the owner? He asked. Yep. What's this? Groundwork for an HOA recreational space, he said, checking his clipboard. I exhaled. This is private property. We were told it's being converted under HOA jurisdiction, he said. By Linda, HOA president. I rubbed my temples. Pack up and leave. You're trespassing. He shifted. We're just following orders. Talk to the HOA. There's no HOA here, I said. Dig, and I'll have you arrested. They hesitated. Then Linda's SUV screeched up. What are you doing? She barked. Stopping illegal construction, I said. She smirked. I filed paperwork to claim this land for community expansion. I stared. For land you don't own? Yes, she said, flashing documents. Unmaintained land can be reallocated. The HOA voted to claim it. I smiled. Show me the approval. It's processing, she faltered. So it's not approved, I said. My lawyer filed a cease and desist yesterday, plus a restraining order against you. Her face reddened. You can't block a community initiative. I can, I said. And your crew's trespassing. Damages from your campers? 50 grand. You're liable. The crew packed up. Linda snapped. I'll sue you. Go ahead, I said. Hope you can pay. She fled, her SUV skidding. Weeks later, she sold her house, buried in debt from failed lawsuits. The HOA faded, hit with my legal fees. My land stayed mine. The wolves stayed free, and peace returned.